Hey everyone, happy off season. In the last couple of winters I've showed you how to build a bike from scratch, and I have quite a few videos about that. But this time, yes, I'm gonna build something new. It's not really new because I'm trying to reuse a lot of things I had. That's a Revelation fork. I've had some 11 speed gears around. I had that rear wheel. Ended up buying a front wheel for $100. I ended up buying a 9-speed triple for very cheap. But most importantly, I ended up buying a super cheap frame, and in this short video I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna prep this up just to turn it into a real bike. You don't have to look hard to find brand X online, and I've never really used anything serious from them, but this time I ended up buying this frame. This is a 27.5 hardtail that I'm gonna build for myself. Believe it or not, never had a 27.5 bike. I already mentioned that price was my first criteria for this frame, so much so that I can tell you I paid slightly more for it than I paid for that front wheel, which was $100. So that's quite impressive. This is an aluminum frame, 27.5 again. It's been around for a while, and if you look back here, you're gonna notice that this is a good old 135 millimeter spacing, which is fine. I don't mind that. And everything is routed on the outside of the frame, which I think I prefer anyway. You can see the quality of the welds right here by the head tube which is tapered, and I really like that because it would take tapered forks. And this is Revelation. It's 150 millimeter travel. I'm gonna modify it to a 130. Would you guys want me to do a video on how to change the travel on this Revelation fork? Let me know in the comments below. I've never done videos about fork servicing, but I can definitely do that for you. Continue on. Here's back to the bottom bracket. I like the threaded bottom brackets because they're easy to maintain. This is a 73 millimeter shell, and if you watch my how to build a bike from scratch, you know how to measure your frame and get the appropriate bottom bracket. Continue on. The seat tube, 31.6, 34.9 seat clamp here. A seat clamp that is not provided. Kind of unusual, but this is a cheap frame, so I guess I'm gonna have to buy one of those. And talking about what you don't have is the bottle cage mount screws. You don't get those with this frame. And also, if I bring you back here where your rear caliper will get installed, this is called an IS mount, and in order to install any of the brakes you might love today, you're going to need one of these. This is an adapter, IS to post mount adapter. What this frame has plenty of though is these cable stops. This being an older frame, it was supposed to be installed with segments of housing. So these would be cable stops, and then the inner cable will be flopping around here on its own. What I'm gonna have to do is drill these out. With the frame upside down, you can see some sort of a serial number over there, and you can also see that there is no protection on this frame whatsoever. If you read on the reviews, a lot of people are going to complain that the matte black finish looks pretty, but it shows all the marks, and I can probably attest to that because I already have a bike in matte black. So there is no protection whatsoever, and I would highly recommend to use at least something like this. This is the 3M Scotch Guard clear bra. They use it on the cars, but you can find strips like this. Definitely the down tube, the top tube, probably the seat stays and chain stays, because I already see marks over here, and it's probably gonna get pretty nasty with usage. Chainstay is not protected with anything on this frame either, and this is an area that's gonna cause a lot of noise, and also the paint here is gonna be damaged right away by the chain. Highly recommend to use something like this. I've been using it for a while. It is the professional grade moisture sealing electrical tape from Scotch. So I already mentioned that I went for this frame because of the price, but is it any good? I already mentioned the headset, which is tapered, and I like that. I also love that the head tube is at 68 degrees, which can make this a pretty decent trail bike. Also, to go along with that, your seat tube angle here is at 74 degrees. So it's not at 75, 76 like most of the modern bikes out there. However, a combination of 68 and 74, I think it's going to be more than decent. Also, this frame was built with 120 to 130 millimeter fork in mind. Well, as soon as I modify that Revelation from 150 to 130, I think that's going to give me a pretty capable hardtail that should be quite playful, given that the chainstays are pretty short at 425 mil, and the components that I'm going to put on it are going to be at least half decent. The weight of this 17-inch or medium frame is 2 kilograms and 40 grams. That would be 4.8 pounds. It's not light by any means, but it's pretty much according to spec. I promised you guys a couple of ideas on how to drill out these cable stops. First of all, I've applied some tape on the frame just so I don't scratch the paint. So at the very minimum, what you're gonna need is a round file. I found it into a needle file set because it has to be tiny. And together with that, I'm always using a piece of housing. This is the Shimano SP41 that I plan to use, and I'm going to use this along the way just to make sure that I don't make these holes too big, because I want them the cable to be snug in there so it doesn't rattle. So I'm going to use that along the way. Now, if you have access to something like this is a rotary tool, a Dremel. First of all, always use protection. You want to take care of your eyes. But if you use these grinding bits, the tiny ones that people usually wonder what to do with them, they will be good for that task. Actually, this time I'm going to use what's called a diamond point. This is an engraving tool that should be good enough for the aluminum that I'm working with right now. If all you have is a tiny round file, arm yourself with a lot of patience, and why not a couple beers, and just go at it, guys. It's gonna work. It's just gonna take a while because you can only fit the very tip of the file into the hole. Using the Dremel is a lot faster. The tiny grinding tip and the round file seem to be the tool for the job again, and you can see the cable going through this first stop. And if I can give you a conclusion, a carving bit like this works wonders because it removes a lot of material. Use the grinding stone to polish it. If you have just a round file, that's perfectly fine. It just takes a lot more work. Don't waste your time with the diamond point because that's not the good tool for the job. And look at this. All my stops are drilled out, so I'm good to go. And here's the frame ready to go, guys. Pretty excited about this little project. I have the film installed pretty much everywhere. I have mounting bolts for the bottle cage. I have the 3M mastic tape. I have the adapter for my post mount brake, which I don't have yet. I turned that 9-speed triple into a beautiful crankset with a 34 tooth chainring, narrow wide. I can probably fit a 36 in there. But one big question that I still have in my mind is, am I going to be tempted to install a dropper post on this bike? With a 68-degree head angle and a 130 millimeter fork, I think I'm going to be very tempted to ride this harder than I'm supposed to, and for that I'm going to want a dropper post. The problem is this frame is not set up to take anything internal, and I don't really like the externally routed droppers. If I was to go for one of those, I can probably use the mounting bosses down here to run any cable I want for the remote. However, if I am to run an internally routed dropper, I'm probably going to have to drill a hole right down here just so I'm able to run a cable on the outside of the frame. What do you guys think? Would you go for the internally routed dropper or external? Let me know what you think. I'm curious if you've done something like that before and if you consider it worth it. What else can I say? I'm pretty excited and intrigued by this little frame. I think it's going to turn into a cool little bike. I will probably make it a 1x10 because I still have some parts in the parts bin. What about you guys? Would you be tempted to buy something like this? Do you have a 26er that you want to turn into something a bit more modern? Or are you in need in building something only because? Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'll try to keep you informed with the status of my build. But for now, I think this is it. Let me know if you have any questions. Keep an eye on social media and all that kind of good jazz. And until next time, I will keep you guys in the loop. Take care, guys. Cheers.